During the Cold War, the Soviet Union formed an organization called the Patriots. They chose representatives of different nationalities of the Commonwealth and experimented to create a team of superheroes who would protect their homeland from any threat, even the supernatural. All superheroes and the scientists who created them are lost. Now the Russian military is testing a new robot that, thanks to its highly advanced AI, will allow it to fight without the need for humans in the field. The demonstration starts off well, but suddenly the robots turn around and attack your team's tanks and helicopters. Human reflexes can't do anything about it, and after all the vehicles are destroyed, the robots attack the building with all the generals and technicians, and no one survives. The person turns out to be Dr. Kratov, one of the scientists behind the Patriot Project many years ago. He also gains psychic powers, generating electricity, and being able to control machines, so he takes the robot with him. In 1940, Kratov headed the Innovative Technology Department of the Patriot Project. His main occupation was Module 1, a remote control designed to control any motorized vehicle. The experiment failed and the project was shelved. Kratov is so jealous of Victor that his own genetic research has impressed his superiors that Kratov decides to steal this research and conduct underground experiments himself. His goal was to surpass Victor and be recognized as a great scientist. Many people became biological victims of his research, and Kratov was arrested, but he escaped anyway and hid in his genetic lab. The military decided to raid the laboratory, but Kratov turned the place into a bomb, causing a huge explosion. They thought he would die there, but the chemicals released by the blast, it turns out that he changed his body and became an experiment in Module 1 that he was obsessed with. Meanwhile, Kratov sneaks into one of the many army camps and steals any vehicle or resource he can find. After the meeting, the Ministry of Defense decided to reactivate the Patriot organization, led by Major Larina. She announces that she will call her superhero team Guardians and has her men begin investigating any supernatural stories they can find, including rumors, viral videos, and tabloids. Given enough information, they travel everywhere to find superheroes. First destination is Armenia. In a hidden temple, Rel lives as a hermit and tries to leave her old life behind. When Larina approaches him to talk about the Patriot Project, R.A. menacingly demonstrates his rock-controlling powers. He wants nothing to do with the Patriot Project as they only messed with him and dumped him, but when Larina informs him that Kratov is alive and R.A. may seek revenge, he changes his mind. Next, they travel to western Kazakhstan, where Khan was found meditating in the desert. When an agent approaches him in an armored vehicle, Khan activates his psychic powers, making him quick and undetectable. He kills all agents in seconds with his curved sword and stops when he sees R.A. persuades him to join him in revenge. The next destination is northern Siberia, where Arsus lives in a hut in the forest. As soon as he sees soldiers approaching, he transforms into his beast form and throws it all away, but seeing his old friends R.A. and Khan calms him down. She uses her powers to perform in the pool and become invisible underwater. One night after the show, she found Khan in her dressing room and immediately attacked him, showing off her fighting skills. Khan uses his psychic powers to get out of the fight and urges Xenia to remember her old friends, but Xenia refuses to listen. Lur also appears and Xenia immediately attacks him as well, starting another pointless fight that Lur wins because he taught Xenia her moves. Explains to her that he is a loner with psychic powers who hasn't aged in 40 years. Kratov, meanwhile, ends up creating his own clone army to continue his plans. The Guardians return to Patriot headquarters, where Xenia explains what happened to her. Her first real memory is in 1978 when doctors found her near Sevastopol. No one has been able to identify her, only knowing her name thanks to the engraved ring she had. When Xenia realized she wasn't getting older, she knew others would notice too, so she decided to make the journey. Her powers include invisibility underwater, heat-resistant skin, and the ability to control body temperature in any situation. At that moment, Larina's team announces that they have found Kratov in the junkyard that Kratov uses as a command center, so they must immediately use the element of surprise before Kratov sees them. When they get there, Xenia is happy to see that it's raining. The team splits up to attack from different locations, and Xenia comes over without a care. Unfortunately, the guards have special goggles that allow them to see Xenia's temperature and immediately use a special weapon to freeze her on the spot. Kill as many men as you can, but the guards also expect it. When Khan stops, he is hit by a paralyzing arrow, and Arthas is caught in an unbreakable net. Inside the building, Ra uses a special trick to create a small earthquake and cover his entire body with rocks. After defeating the surrounding guards, Kratov himself appears, and Lel launches an attack. His rock was just a tickle for Kratov, who quickly overpowered Rel and broke his spine. Sometime later, Kratov took Ra, Khan, and Arthas to a force cell, stating that he was expecting them, so he armed his soldiers with appropriate weapons. Kuratov always knew her weaknesses. He asks the Guardians to join him and, ignoring their claims that death is preferable to working with him, gives them 24 hours to think about it. He tries to use it, but the force field prevents him from moving. Kuratov then collects the stolen tanks and launches an invasion. Soon the entire city had turned into a war zone, with news reports of chaos everywhere, also telling us that stolen space transmitters and the military were completely helpless against these attacks. Having struck a deal with the spy and gaining access to the warehouses and soldiers that guarded his base, he now plans to begin his Module 2 project using a space transmitter. The plan is to connect transmitters to the Ostankino and Federation towers to transmit signals to Russian satellites. This will allow us to control all other satellites. As Kratov begins to take the tower, his army spies complain as they were promised things would not get out of hand, but Kratov simply kills him. While recovering, Ra told Laren that when he passed out, he had a vision of his daughter that reminded him of all the good times he had with his daughter and grandchildren. Ra didn't grow old, but his children grew old. While his grandchildren traveled around the world, her daughter grew old and Ra watched her die. Sometime later, Kratov's old lab partner Victor visits Larina. Everyone thought he was dead, so Victor knew he had been hiding for years and only came out because he saw Kratov on the news and needed his help to stop him. I will explain that it was Victor immediately begins treating Ra and tells Larina the location of Kratov's secret lab to save the others. The team quickly sneaks into the lab, kills all the guards, and frees them by simply shooting the keyboard that maintains the force field. However, Khan feels humiliated and simply leaves the team. While Kratov keeps the towers moving around the city, Larina converses with Arthas at headquarters. Arthas admits that he is worried about his longtime girlfriend Xenia. After his first escape during the war, Arthas met Xenia again 8 years ago, but realized she remembered nothing and decided to distance himself. He's also worried about his transformation, fearing he could be stuck in beast form forever. Speaking of Victor, he is in a secret lab studying Kratov's clones when Kratov himself suddenly discovers and vows to show the world who the real geniuses are. Kratov then confirms the installation of the space transmitter with the tower and activates it. With the activation of this powerful machine, the Patriot system finally recognizes and understands Kratov's plans. They send several fighter planes to stop him, but Kratov only has military robots shoot them and the plane crashes over the city. This is observed by Khan from the top of the building and Larina approaches him to see what is happening. Khan admits that he had a brother whom he idolized because he was such a good fighter, but over time Khan found himself becoming a shadow of his brother and no one believed him. He accepted being Kratov's guinea pig in order to become stronger, and when he gained power, he challenged his brother to battle. Killed my brother. Larina sympathizes with him and at the same time reminds him that the city needs him. Once all the Guardians are back together and doing well, Larina announces that they have made a new suit and weapon for her to match their powers. He gains a cannon with a targeting system wired directly into his nervous system that selects his targets with the help of a cannon. Khan's new suit protects him from all forms of physical damage, including bullets, blades, and tranquilizers his darts. In the area of the spine attached a harpoon and a reinforced rope. For Ra, they built a suit that gave him access to rocks at all times, and a special whip that converted his telekinesis ability to control rocks into electromagnetic pulses. Eventually, Xenia acquires a suit that makes her invisible at any time, allowing her to make any object invisible with the touch of it. The team begins training with new weapons. There are a few glitches at first, but with enough practice, you'll be in full control and ready to rumble. Kratov is now charging the turret to transmit a signal on the beam. The team plan to dismantle the tower's force field. After that, the entire Moscow city complex is being destroyed by a rocket launcher, so you need to escape as soon as possible. Rail sneaks through a subway tunnel into Kratov's work area, where he lightly beats all the guards with his new whip. Arthas and Xenia fight the guards on the streets. This battle starts briefly until more guards arrive. Xenia has to hide, but Arthas switches his body to full animal mode and ends the fight. Khan is approaching the tower in his plane. Now the pilot is ready to fend off the military AI attacks. However, he can't get the plane close enough to jump. Arsus, Lur and Xenia reach the roof of the mall and begin to access it by crossing his one of the many iron bars supporting Kuratov's tower. A guard fires from the ingot, causing Arsus to slide. Lur activates a whip to create a shield, but is unsure how long this can be sustained. Wanting to help, Khan decides to jump anyway to make up for the long distance, and connects a grab line to the tower so he can reach the bar with the guards and cut them down to defeat the men. Meanwhile, in Kratov's lab, Lorena found Victor dead within minutes. He tells Lorena that he discovered that the wardens have the ability to transfer powers to each other, and this merger increases their strength. The guards enter the tower and find a generator after taking out several guards. The men discuss the option of disabling it, but Xenia tries to grab it and short-circuits it with her body heat. Managing to close, Arthas catches Xenia just before she falls. After the field is destroyed, the military is about to start bombing, but Lorena asks them to wait so the guards can take revenge. The Guardians head to the top of the tower to fight Kratov, but to no avail. With his powers, he easily disables Arthasian cannons and Lur's whip, and his powers take care of Khan. Allows the whip to be used. Kratov gets caught in the whip and Khan tries to kill him with the blade, but Kratov is too strong and is easily freed with a shockwave that knocks everyone back. Chasing Xenia, resulting in Arthas leaving the cannon behind and going into full beast mode, unaware of the consequences. The military announces they cannot wait any longer and sends vehicles to blow up the area. As soon as Khan sees the plane flying, he attaches a grab line to it, then all the guards to the line so he can rob them. Lose control of the plane, prompting Khan to cut the line and free all guards on the river before the plane crashes. Just then the military finally launched their rockets, but Kratov laughed and detonated them in the sky before they could reach him. Tell them what you learned from Victor. The Guardians decided to take the risk and focus all their power on Rel. Rel charges a blast of energy that fires at the tower, instantly destroying it and all buildings around it. It also makes Kratov fall to his fate. News broadcasts report that the city has been saved, but no one knows what caused this alleged terrorist attack, waiting for the Secretary of Defense to hold a press conference later. They also believe it was the military who saved the day with their secret weapon. Reconstruction efforts also begin. Lorena thanks Warden for his help, but Warden announces that he is going back to his boring life. In particular, Xenia, who reminded her of the origin of her ring, but promised that they would come if there were to be any major problems again. Before they left, Lorena found them more guardians, she said. Sometime in the middle of the night, two men pulled up the van and Lorena got out. She quickly fights them off, and when they are threatened, she makes them confess that she was sent by someone named Ferrum.